Do you bring in between $1 and $5 million in government contracts? If so, this video is for you. Let's take a look. This is a space where life can come across real good. On average, you're bringing in $1 million to $5 million in revenue every year. Perhaps you're getting a salary as the owner, perhaps you have relatives on the books, and even perhaps you're even doing a bunch of outreach in the community. But you're stuck. You want to go beyond $5 million. You would love to get to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Perhaps you want to get to the point where you are no longer considered a small business. Perhaps that is a goal for you, depending on, of course, the different NAICS that you bid on. One of the situations when you're bringing in between 1 and 5 is you're also competing against Super 8As. You're also competing against small businesses that may be bringing in $50 million. My mentor consistently brought in around $20 million a year. She had over 200 full-time equivalents. And she said, Kizzy, if I want to grow, here's one of the ways I got to go about growing. You buy a business. You're in this space where you're doing well, you're comfortable, and perhaps you want to expand into other areas. Perhaps you're into training, you want to expand into IT. Perhaps you help with processing, now you want to get more into staffing. You can easily buy a business, combine forces, and grow. There's a business that I'm currently looking at. They provide staffing. They do around this amount of money every year. They have a nice profit margin, and there's a lot of opportunities to grow because growth is the key. The way you grow, one of them is through buying. The next way to grow, because when you're in this space, you're competing against companies who have more resources. They may not only have one, but they may have 3 business development professionals. How do we compete against that? Next, hire within. You hire within. There are many government employees, political appointees, and otherwise who eventually find magic elsewhere, right? And often they end up working for companies who bring in $1 to $5 million. There was a famous example out of Texas where a company brought in a retired government employee and poof, I think they now do over $100 million a year. They were involved in housing opportunities. The other way you grow is you hire someone who was the director of, the branch chief of, the political appointee of. Keeping in mind, this will cost $225,000 to potentially $500,000 a year. But to go from this to this, or even $100 million, isn't it worth it? Alex Hormozi talks about it again and again. He always says one of the biggest mistakes made here is failing to take that revenue and to invest it into high-level talent. This is your opportunity. They come with experience. They come with their network. They are going to be able to help move and direct contracts your way, in a legal way. So please keep that in mind. My name is Dr. Kizzy Parks. I've been awarded over $50 million in federal government contracts, a legal way. So hiring within, and you definitely want someone who is connected to the government in the administration that is active. So you wouldn't want somebody from the former administration, especially if it's a different political party. So if the president's a Republican, you want somebody who worked in a Republican administration and vice versa. Very, very vital. The next way you grow, going back to my mentor, she said, Kizzy, one of the ways I grew is she said, I got a mentor through the Mentor Protege program. I started forming joint ventures and we're going to do the same. And we did. We brought in over $20 million in just our 2 joint ventures together. Because you're now taking the past performance of one company, the past performance of your company, and now you got a baby. You have a completely new company. As long as there aren't any issues around ownership and things of that nature, that you meet all of the current requirements for those that follow under the joint venture regulations and rules, you will be fine. So you take that combined amazingness of this third entity, and now you on a road show. You make sure that you schedule and you do and you give and you're part of as many capability briefs as possible. You're bidding on opportunities now worth more than 100 million. That's what happened with my mentor. In one of her joint ventures, she ended up winning work over $100 million with the FDA to process documents. Why? Because of the past performance of her mentor, paired with her various past performance. And she ended up having that body of work until she ended up selling her company. The next way you grow is through a set aside. It may seem that the 8A program is only for people who look like me. That is not the case at all. It is based on the rules and regulations that fall under the program. Keeping in mind the program was never meant to benefit people who look like me. It's way deeper than that. You can check out my channel and see the videos I have on it. By partnering, joint venturing, becoming in 8A will help take you to the next level. That is the one way we were able to expand, was due to having the 8A. My mentor had an 8A too. She graduated from the program. So the play is you become an 8A because you're still at the size where you should qualify unless your assets are worth more, and you take on the work of graduating 8As. You acquire a smaller 8A, or there's a power play. You sell to a super 8A. You can sell the majority ownership of your 8A to, let's say, a native Hawaiian group. So now you can get sole sources over 20 mil on the federal side, and I believe of 100 mil on the DoD side, which will now take you above and beyond. While your ownership may be lower, it'll help with the goal that you have, if it is to reach 100 million, and you can keep spinning off 8As because you were considered a super 8A because of the purchase. Final way. Different contract vehicles, Oasis Plus, Stars 3, acronyms for days, MAS, whatever the schedule is or isn't. Not only applying, getting on a schedule, it's about leveraging the schedule. Perhaps you purchase a company who has the schedule you desire. Let's say you lack a clearance, but you really want to maximize Stars 3. Buy a company on the Stars 3 schedule who also has a facility clearance. Boom, you're going to grow your company, because when you're bringing in 1 to 5 million, you know how to bring in business, you're doing a great job, and there's so much room and opportunity for you to do more and more and more. You could also look into novation. There may be a company out there who wants to novate one of their contracts on a contract vehicle to you. That is another way for you to grow. When you're in this range, seems amazing, and it is amazing, and you're competing against companies who have bigger budgets, bigger teams, more people on the inside, especially that people are now back in the workplace. Even if they're relocated, for instance, like for those with certain agencies being asked to go from DC to, let's say, Utah or North Carolina, people are still in an office space. And the companies who know, who are bringing in 30, 40, 50 plus million a year, have an inside track for you to do the same. All you need to do is make one move. Make one of these moves and you will easily 10x what you're bringing in. Comment below. I'd love to know your thoughts. Don't forget, everything is possible. Like, subscribe, hit the notification button. Until next time, take care.